book up wide and meet adventures that wait for you. Live and learn and laugh and play whenever your dream comes true. You could swim along the river all the way to the sea. You could fly up in the sky above the clouds and trees. You could plant a flower garden up on top of the moon. You could swing through the jungle all afternoon. Wherever our story takes us, I can't wait to see. Yes, friends, come and read with me. It's online story time.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Online Storytime at your Grand Rapids Area Library. I'm Miss Tracy.
I'm Teacher Missy.
And we are delighted that you're here with us today. Hey, before we start talking about that thing,
I know.
should we sing?
Let's do a little song.
All right, got your clappers ready? Teacher Missy and I are clapping our hands. You clap whatever you want to. Here we go. If you want to hear a story, clap your hands. If you want to hear a story, clap your hands. If you want to hear a story, if you want to hear a story, if you want to hear a story, clap your hands. Yay! I guess that means we can talk about stories today.
We can.
I heard lots of clapping.
Oh, I did too, and they were pretty good this morning. They were
That's right.
energetic.
That's right.
It sounded like to me.
Now, Storytime friends, we are still talking about the symbols of the state of Minnesota. Do you remember some of the ones we've talked about? Teacher Missy, do you remember what the state drink is?
Milk.
Milk! Isn't that great? Do you remember what the state mushroom is?
The morel.
The morel! Good
Woo!
job!
I almost flunked that test.
Yahoo! Now, do you remember, this is a long time ago, Storytime friends. Does anybody remember what the state muffin is? Do you remember, Teacher Missy?
I do. It's the blueberry muffin.
The blueberry muffin. Well, today's Storytime friends, we are talking about the state fish. Hey, Teacher Missy, what's the state fish of Minnesota?
The state fish of Minnesota is the walleye.
Yay! And you know, for those of you who are fishing families or know fisher people in your families, we just had the walleye opener a couple of weeks ago.
We did.
And there are people catching walleye like crazy, and walleye are delicious.
They are really delicious. And my husband, I just have to say, he's kind of famous for his fried fish. Like literally famous, and makes the best fried fish I have ever eaten. So we love fish at our house.
They're delicious.
And catching them.
And you know, the cool thing about a walleye, though, it's neat to see them swim, too. This is what's happening with our walleye in the picture. He's swimming under the water.
And they're really beautiful.
They are.
I mean, they've got a beautiful skin, and they're kind of shimmery, and they come in all sizes.
So, of course, the walleye is our state fish. Hey, do you have any good stories about walleye?
Well, you know, crazy enough, I do. Hey, Miss Tracy.
Yes, Teacher
Look
Missy.
what I've got.
You have a book about fishing.
I have a book about fishing. I do. And if you notice, what are these two people doing on the cover of my book? What are they holding? Yep, that's right. They're holding fishing poles. They are holding fishing poles, and it looked like they may be sitting like on the edge of a dock. That would be a good place to fish, wouldn't it? Where else could we fish? We could fish out of a boat.
We could.
Or maybe from shore.
Yep.
Wherever you've got water and fish.
That's right.
Well, this book is called Fishing, and it comes to us from Bellwether Publishers, and we're going to find out. These are real pictures. These are not illustrations. They are photographs, so we're going to see what we can learn about fishing. What is fishing? Fishing is an outdoor activity where people catch fish. They do it for food, money, or just fun. People have been fishing in rivers and lakes and oceans for thousands of years. A lot of people fish for their food, not just for fun. Ancient people fished for survival. That means they had to have fish to eat. They used nets and spears and even their bare hands to capture fish. And they cooked it and ate the fish they caught. Now, I can't quite imagine catching a fish with my hands, but it might be fun to try. In the 16 and 1700s, people fished for fun, and this was called sport fishing, and that's what most of us do, although we probably eat it.
Right.
Millions of people around the world enjoy this activity, and the fish caught are known as game fish. And there's all kinds of fish here. This is one of my favorite fish to eat right here. That's a crappie. I think that might actually be my favorite fish to eat.
Okay.
Although I can't argue with a walleye. People use different pieces of equipment for different kinds of fishing. Most people use a fishing rod and a fishing reel. And this is probably what you guys are using. A rod with a reel on it. And when the fish gets hooked, what do you do with that reel? You bring them to the boat. The reel holds the fishing line so that you can catch your fish. People who use rods and reels can attract fish. They can use bobbers. Those are those little things that float. Those are fun to fish with, I think, because when they go down, you know there's something on there. They can use live bait, like a minnow or a leech. Or they can use lures, and that's a picture of a lure right there. They make it look like a minnow, and then they put hooks on it. Both require the fisher person to cast out their lines, and then the fish will grab the bait. A bobber attached to the fishing line, it sits above the end of the line where the hook and the live bait hangs. So the bobber floats, but you still have a minnow attached to it. And then it can grab a hold of it. And when the bobber goes down, score. That's when you set the hook. In large bodies of water, many people enjoy deep sea fishing. They use huge rods and reels to catch marlins and swordfish and even sharks.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Do we have sharks here? No, we don't. Do we have swordfish? No. They live in salt water in the ocean. After casting, a fisher person lets the lure sink a little and then begins reeling slowly. It makes the lure look like it's swimming, and that attracts the fish. Look at him. He's looking at that lure, thinking he might grab a snack. Every fisher person carries a tackle box. The box holds all those lures and bobbers and hooks and other fishing equipment. And you might have a tackle box, or your families might have a tackle box. That's where you keep all those tools, because you gotta have those to fish. That little guy looks like he caught a nice fish. He looks pretty happy. Today, fishing is popular all around the world, and some fisher people practice catch and release. That means they catch a fish, but they don't keep it. They let it back into the water to continue to live. So that would be fishing for fun.
Yeah, or if you think about how many lakes in Minnesota have restrictions, and
Right.
that you can only keep fish so big,
Right.
you have to throw back the other ones. So
Yes,
they
you
can
do.
get bigger.
And it's a common practice to measure.
Yep.
People should really measure their fish, because it's a pretty small margin
Yep.
of what you can keep and what you can't. This is another fun fact. Some fishermen fly fish in rivers and streams. They let the lines out slowly and move their rods back and forth to drag fake flies across the water.
That's the kind of fishing we don't see very often.
No,
here.
because it's primarily done in rivers, and where the water is really moving. I think that's kind of what they and I have never fly fished before, and I've never been anywhere where people did, but I bet we could in the Mississippi. I mean, I suppose you could.
Yeah.
But I think don't you fly fish for like trout? Yeah. The best fisher people compete in tournaments, so they have big competitions, and they have to set an amount of time to catch the largest fish they can, and then they get a prize. Fishing is an activity that can be enjoyed by people of all ages, and with the right practice, equipment, and patience, anyone can be a champion fisher person. And that is the story of our fishing. So look at the size of this fish. That's a pretty chunky thing. That could make a meal or so. That is not a walleye though. I think that's a bass. Some people like to bass fish. We have lots of bass in our lake. Yeah, fishing.
Hey, Storytime friends. Hey, Teacher Missy.
Yes, Miss Tracy.
Are you all ready for some flannel fun?
It's one of my favorite things that we do.
Beautiful. Now, Storytime friends, if you notice, we're still talking about fish, but now we're talking about pet fish. All right? So here we have a fishbowl, and let's see what happens. The name of the song that we're going to sing today is I Got My Wish. All right? And here we go. On Saturday, I got my wish when I found a tank for my fish. But an empty tank is not much fun, so I bought a blue fish, and now I have one. There we go. Now, that should be good because we have a fish in our tank, right? I have a fish, but one won't do. So I bought the green one, and now I have two. There they are. I have a blue fish and a green fish. I have two fish swimming happily, but I bought a yellow one, and now I have three. There they are. Oh, they look so cozy together in the fish tank.
They look like good friends.
I have three fish, but I want more. So I bought a red one, and now I have four. 4 fish in my tank. I love having 4 fish in my tank. I have 4 fish that jump and dive, but I bought a pink one, and now I have 5. Oh, all 5 of my fish right there. On Saturday, I have my wish when I found a tank for my fish. A tank full of fish is lots of fun, but the cat just saw them, so we'd better run.
Miss Tracy.
Yes, Teacher Missy.
Look.
Another book about fishing.
Another book about fishing. It is a book about fishing, and I'm looking at the cover of this book, and I see what appears to be a young boy fishing in some body of water. I don't know if that's a lake, a pond, a river, because you can catch fish in many places.
It looks like it could be almost any body of water around here.
Yes, and we have, do you know that there are 13,000 lakes in Minnesota?
Wow.
13,000, and I don't know how many rivers, but
I know there are 1,000 lakes in Itasca County.
just in Itasca County. That's a lot of lakes. That is. Well, this book is called Hooked. And I'm noticing by the picture that this boy is fishing with a bobber. This book was written by Tommy Greenwald, and the illustrations were done by David McPhail. So this is a story, because we have illustrations and we do not have photographs in this book. This is a story called Hooked. And it comes to us from Roaring Press publisher. Let's find out. Hooked. Who got hooked? Joe loved fishing, even though nothing much happened. Joe's dad thought fishing was boring. I like more action, he said, and I don't like worms. He just didn't get it. So Joe joined the town fishing club. They fished in streams, ponds, rivers, and brooks. One time they even fished in a puddle. As Joe grew to love fishing even more, he asked his dad to give it a chance. "You should try it," Joe said. "No, thank you," his dad answered. Then one winter day, the leader of Joe's fishing club announced that they were going ice fishing on a frozen lake. Everyone cheered. On this trip, each child must be accompanied by a parent or guardian, the club leader said. Uh-oh, thought Joe. That night at dinner, Joe asked his dad if he would take him ice fishing. His dad thought for a minute. "Well, I'll go on one condition," he said. "What's that?" Joe asked. Joe's dad smiled. "That I never have to do it again." The next Saturday, they woke up very early and they drove to the lake. It was bright and beautiful and 12 degrees. That's cold. Joe smiled at his dad, and his dad tried to smile back. First, they carved a round hole in the ice, then they dropped in their lines. Nothing much happened. They waited, they looked at the ice, they looked at the sky, and they waited some more. Then Joe and his dad started to talk. They talked about everything: baseball, movies, music, food, school, animals, and a bunch of other stuff. They told jokes, they drank hot chocolate, but they didn't catch anything. When the sun began to go down, they stopped talking. Joe's dad started shivering, and Joe started worrying. He worried that maybe it wasn't a good idea to bring his dad fishing after all. He worried that his dad might hate fishing now more than ever. Then, just before it was time to go, Joe felt a tug on his line. He jumped up. "I got a bite," he yelled. Joe's dad tried to jump up too, but he slipped and fell. The fish pulled back hard. It felt big and strong. Finally, after one last tug, Joe reeled it in. At first, Joe couldn't tell what kind of fish it was. Well, then he realized it wasn't a fish at all. It was something large and soggy and pink. It was a stuffed elephant. Everyone started laughing. Joe's ears burned with embarrassment. He felt silly, didn't he? He started to throw the elephant back in the lake. "Oh, don't," said his dad. "But it's a stupid stuffed elephant," Joe said. His dad looked at him. "You caught her, and we're going to keep her." On the way home, Joe and his dad talked about the freezing cold, drinking hot chocolate, and getting a tug on the line, and Joe's dad falling on his fanny, and Joe's catching the stuffed elephant. They laughed the whole way. When they got home, Joe's dad put the elephant in the washer and dryer. It came out warm and fluffy. "Oh, she's adorable," Joe's dad said. Let's name her Ella." A few weeks later, when it was time for Joe's first fishing trip of the spring, his dad knocked on his door. Can I come with you?" he said. Joe and his dad caught only one fish that day, a little striper they threw back. But it didn't matter. They talked and laughed. They had a great time. The next time Joe went fishing, his dad went with him again. And he went the time after that and the time after that. It turned out Joe's dad loved fishing almost as much as Joe did. You could say he was hooked. And that is what happened. That is how Joe caught the big one. I love that book. There's a lot more to fishing than catching a fish.
Hey everybody, are you ready to wave some scarves? Because let me tell you, I am so excited about doing scarf songs today. Hey, Teacher Missy, do you want your green scarf?
Yes, I do want my green scarf.
All right,
Thank
there
you.
you go.
Spring green.
That's right, spring green, and I have just my beautiful red scarf.
Geranium red.
Looks lovely, doesn't it?
It does. It's very much your coat. What's
Excuse me?
going on?
Oh, of course. Storytime friends. Giraffe would like to be our Storytime friend today. Hello, Teacher Missy.
Good morning, Giraffe.
Delighted to see you.
It's so good to see you.
Giraffe is going to sit there while we spin and twirl and wave our scarves. So out of your Storytime kit, friends, I'd like you to find your scarf. And if you don't have a scarf, well, first of all, you can come in and get your Storytime kit because they're waiting here for you at the circulation desk. But if you don't have a scarf, you can wave anything. You can wave a paper towel, you can wave your sock, you can wave a Kleenex, you can wave a towel, you can wave a washcloth. What else can you wave?
You could even wave your hand.
You could wave your hand. You could make your hand go all the places the scarf does. Okay? So first, let's do our scarf warm-up because we haven't done it in a long time. And it's one of my favorite scarf songs to do. Do you guys remember our scarf warm-up? Here we go. My scarf goes up. My scarf goes down. My scarf goes around, 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 around. My scarf goes in. My scarf comes out. My scarf flies about, 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 about. Beautiful. Let's do it again. Ready? Here we go. My scarf goes up. My scarf goes down. My scarf goes around, 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 around. My scarf goes in. My scarf comes out. My scarf flies about, 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 about. Oh. Now that scarf and your arm should be pretty well warmed up. Okay?
Very.
Our next song we're going to do is probably unsurprisingly about a fish. Okay? And it's about a fish in the lake. And you will recognize the tune. So you could sing along on the action words while you're moving your scarf. You ready? Here we go. It's called The Fish in the Lake. The fish in the lake goes swish, 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 swish. The fish in the lake goes swish, swish, swish all day long. All right. Guess what? We also have some minnows in our fish, in our lake. Excuse me. There might be minnows in the fish.
There might
too.
be minnows in the fish.
Yes, but in this case, we have minnows in our lake. Here we go. And our minnows are going to swim around and around. Here we go. The minnows in the lake swim round and round, round and round, round and round. The minnows in the lake swim round and round all day long. Nice job on those circles. Here we go. Now, in the lake with our minnows and our fish, we also have sand. And if you're playing on the beach and you pour sand into the water, what does it do? It falls down. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like to let your scarf fall down. You ready? Here we go. The sand in the lake drifts down, 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 the sand in the lake drifts down, 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 all day long. Now that is not easy to catch that scarf when it drifts. You guys did a great job with that, whether you caught it in the air or you caught it on the ground. Nice job. Now, when we're on the lake and the wind blows, what happens to the lake? That's right, we get waves on the lake.
We do.
And our waves are gonna go up and down, just like waves do. Ready? Here we go. The waves on the lake go up and down, up and down, up and down. The waves on the lake go up and down all day long. Oh, friends, that was such a great job. Thanks for playing with us. Oh, friends, what a great time I had today. How about you, Teacher Missy?
This was an awesome day.
I love talking about fishing and walleye because it's such a Minnesota thing to do.
It really is.
And we today learned about fishing, and we learned this great story about Joe and his dad. Do you remember what the big catch that Joe made? It was his dad. I know, he made his dad love fishing. And then we saved our new little fish from the cat down there. Cats are really very kind and generous, but cats also sometimes like to eat prey. And sometimes fish are prey for cats.
They have instincts.
Yep.
And that's just something that happens in their head that's just natural to them.
Yep.
And things that swim in little bowls are very interesting to a cat.
It's all good though, because we saved our fish
Yes,
from
indeed.
the cat. Now though, I think it's time to say goodbye. Are you ready to sing Storytime, friends? Are you ready to sing, Teacher Missy?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Story time is done today. Now it's time to go and play. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Goodbye, everybody.
Happy fishing.